Good morning, good morning. I have been asked a very interesting question that has to do with evictions. And I think we should really jump into it. Have you recently bought a house where the previous tenants or the previous owners don't want to move out? Or do you have tenants that have failed to pay their rentals but yet refuse to move out of your property? Do not take matters into your own hands. There are legal remedies. Before we jump into the remedies that you have, let me put a disclaimer. This here is not extensive legal advice. To get further legal advice, speak to attorneys. You can approach Clementina Tai attorneys. They are experts in property related matters, as well as this process that we're talking about today of evictions. As I mentioned, do not take matters into your hands. If you have this type of problem that we're talking about, do not cut and change the locks. Do not cut the electricity or water supply. Don't get into that temptation of throwing their belongings outside and locking your gates. Do not use force and intimidation, because all of this will be viewed as a breach, and it'll be maybe viewed as a criminal offense on your part. Evictions are really dealt with in terms of a law in accordance to the Prevention of a Legal Eviction and Unlawful Occupation of Land Act, commonly referred to as the PI Act. In terms of this act, for you to get the remedy of eviction, you will have to follow a formal process of court. Firstly, you will have to serve a notice which indicates in writing that you are putting your tenants in terms to make payment of the outstanding rental monies. This will give them probably 20 plus business days, which is the usual time. If they are failing to make payment despite this written notice, you will then have to cancel the lease in writing. This will be notice of termination of the lease itself. Then you will, if you're still not winning, you will apply for eviction at the court. This you can do at Match Court or at High Court. And as I mentioned, it's quite a tedious process. You may actually need an attorney for this. The court will then authorize service of the eviction notice to the tenant in person through a sheriff. Once the date is set, the tenant is given an opportunity to also appear before the court and explain their part. Remember, the courts look at the balance between the rights of the tenant as well as the right of the land on or property owner. So the courts will look at factors such as the length of period in which these tenants have resided on this property, the personal circumstances such as income and ability to make payment of this rental. The other big factor that the courts look at really is the availability of alternative accommodation. That's where most of the time the property owner gets stuck, because you will have to prove that the tenants have alternate accommodation, which is very, very, very difficult as a process, especially if you are dealing with a tenant who really has no means to make payment of the alternate accommodation. So as I mentioned, there's you can be successful in this order of eviction, but you will need to follow the prescribed court process.